Hi. Good evening, everybody. How we doing? Yeah, we like to hear that. I go by the name Honey Child, and I have the distinct pleasure of being your vibe setter tonight. A lot of what you're gonna hear is some old, if you're familiar with my work, some new, and a lot of works in progress. So sit back, relax, feel free to dance, or maybe even just do a little bit of this in your seats. But we have space for people to get up and dance as well, so don't be afraid. I'm looking at the parent table over here. Don't be afraid to fill in the space. This first song is a cover from one of my favorite groups, Lil Dragon. Can we get the house lights down a little bit? As a vibe setter, that's important to me. Walking home, looking at the trees, got the feeling that they were looking back at me. Thoughts did occur to me, not of the usual kind, but I don't take that for granted. No, I don't call them mine. I don't call them mine, 'cause in my life things are built on. My life, things are built on constant surprises coming my way. Some call it coincidence, but I like to call it fate. Constant surprises coming my way. Some call it coincidence, but I like to call it fate, On my way home, I met this guy. He was not so shy, not that kind. We spoke and suddenly I could read his mind. Think it's mad, but I don't fool myself. You think it's a lie, but in my life, things are built on. They're built on. Coming my way. Some call it coincidence, but I like to call it fate. Constant surprises coming my way. Some call it coincidence, but I like to call it fate. Yeah, I like to call it fate. I like to call it fate. I like to call it fate. I like to call it like to call it loch. I like to call it loch. Fate. Thank y'all.